Hello, hello. My name is Mary Penn. I spent 20 years checking out books at a public library where I was Storytime lady for preschoolers, and I did the Reader's Theater program for grades 5 through 8. So books were my life for a long, long time. And even though I'm now retired, I still read stories to preschoolers every week because I'm still absolutely passionate about the importance of helping kids love books and love reading and making books come to life for kids. So why is that important? Well, I'm going to read you a few facts. 40% of American fourth graders cannot read at grade level. 40%. And 2/3 of our kids in this country do not read fluently. Yet reading is the cornerstone for all the rest of their learning and all the rest of their subjects that they will have and that they will study their entire lives. If you read only one book every day to preschoolers, by the time they start kindergarten, they will know almost 300,000 more words than a kid who is not read to. And that doubles, of course, or even triples if you read them 2 or 3 books per day. Like for instance, here's a tiny little board book that's an ABC book. If you're reading this to a tiny kid, where else are they going to hear the word iguana or jackal? They won't know those words unless they see it in a book. And you can explain to them, an iguana is like a lizard. It's a kind of a lizard. So anyway, there's just one tiny little example. Scientists have studied what goes on inside of the brains of a kid who's being read to. And they have proven that, first of all, it reduces stress. It calms a kid when they're being read to. It also helps their capacity for empathy toward other people. It helps their listening skills. It helps their imagination, their critical thinking and decision making. And of course, it helps determine future academic success. Over 90% of children's brain growth occurs by the age of 5. And reading out loud to them helps to build all these strong neural pathways in their brains. It helps with cognitive development, helps with problem solving, helps with decision making just by reading to kids. And I just read an article that millennials and younger people are reading less and less to children because they don't think it's fun. There is nothing more fun than reading to kids, and I'm gonna sort of share some examples. I think it's just kind of like anything else in life. It's gonna be as much fun as you make it. And when you realize the vast importance of reading to kids, hopefully you'll find ways to make it a lot of fun for them. Books also help kids with totally new concepts that they might not encounter in their everyday lives. Like in the middle of Illinois, we're not going to see a lot of penguins wandering around, but they're going to see penguins in books, right? Books can be like a window into other worlds, into other places, other ideas, but it can also be like, they can also be like a mirror into a kid's own life. So it can help them realize, wow, I'm not alone in feeling that way or in experiencing this. So either a window or a mirror, depending on the book. So when do you start reading to kids? As soon as they can sit up on your lap. We are caring for a 7-month-old right now, and we've been reading to her for about 3.5 months already. When you are reading to a baby, Obviously, you don't have to worry about getting all the words right or even reading all the words. You don't have to do that. Don't worry about it. But show them those pictures. Use these board books like I was showing you that have the really, really thick pages so that they can't tear up the book. You can just point out various things to them in the book. Like, oh, look at the red ball, it's red. Or there's a tiger, rawr. Make the noises, point to the things. Some of our little one's favorite books right now are these little teeny tiny ones. Of course, she teethes on them too, but they're little, she can hold them, she can turn the pages herself, they're teeny tiny, they're a lot of fun. You are also, as you're reading to that baby, you are increasing that child's listening skills and helping them learn to focus. And of course, their vocabulary. Now, another way outside of reading that you can increase a child's vocabulary is to narrate every single stinking thing that you're doing with them throughout the day. Like, oh, let's turn on the light. Can you turn it on? Oh, now it's light. Let's turn it off. Oh, now it's dark. Just narrate everything you're doing. Did you touch my sweater? Oh, it's soft, isn't it? Soft. So you're teaching them. You have to realize that a baby and a toddler, totally blank slate. They know nothing of language. So the more that you can speak to them and talk to them and narrate everything you're doing, the more they're learning those words, and that's vital. So, one other huge benefit of reading to little ones is that it is a bonding experience. It's bonding time. One of our grandsons insisted on always having a soft little blanket whenever we would read a book. And this kid is like a hurricane. I mean, he's just 100 miles an hour at all times. But man, I tell you what, when we would sit down to read a book, he was so into that. He would snuggle up, we would snuggle under that blanket. He loved it. And he would just go from 100 to just like that, because he loved those books and he loved that reading time. And that time that you spend snuggling with that kid is totally irreplaceable. There is nothing better than putting a kid on your lap and reading a book. Absolutely nothing. Especially if it's a good book. That's what I'm going to talk about next. How do you choose a good book? Start at your local library. Now, I'm not just saying that because I used to work at a library. That's not it. But first of all, libraries are 100% free. It's free. My background before I started in the library was in retail management. That was smarmy in comparison because you're always trying to make a buck. You go into a library, oh my goodness, I was telling people, look, take it all home, it's free. So it costs nothing to get a library card. Most libraries don't even charge overdue fees anymore, especially not for children's books. If you lose a book or you damage a book, if your kid eats the book or the dog eats the book, well then, yeah, you got a fee to pay. You're kind of gonna burn your bridges and you lose some privileges if you don't pay. But most libraries are very kind. They will work with you, I promise you. And there are some strategies to ensure that the worst does not happen. I'm going to give you some tips from some of my, I don't want to say favorite library patrons, but the ones who just were consistent and came back week after week after week and checked out thousands of books and read to all their kids. And they really knew how to do the library well. So, first of all, they had a set day each week that they came into the library. So whether that is Saturday morning after breakfast or it's Tuesday after school, every single week they showed up. on the same day. That helped them to remember to bring back their books on time on that day. It just became part of their routine, so make it part of your routine. Secondly, they checked out the exact same number of books every single week. So if you want one book as a bedtime story every night, you check out 7 books for that week. If you're gonna read 2, then you check out 14 books. And then you know how many books you have to count up and bring back the next week. You always check out the same number. That's a help. Now at night, you can let the kid choose what book they would like to read. Sometimes you will see that the child wants the exact same book every single night, and you never get to the other 6 books or the other 13 books or whatever, because read it again, read it again. If you get a read it again, you know that that book is an enormous hit. Don't worry about the other books. Just keep reading it over and over and over and over. The child loves it. So cherish that moment and just read it again. Even if it bores you to tears, doesn't matter. The kid wants the repetition, okay? Number 3, most of these people had a designated library basket or a library bag that they always kept all their library books in. And the kids in the house knew that when they're done with that book, it's gotta go back in the library bag. Put the book back in that bag. Then you're not having to look all over creation, under the sofa, behind the bed, everywhere for the books. You use the book goes back in that bag, and then everything's all together, good to go for the next day. All right, here's one of the most important things, in my opinion. As a librarian, I'm begging you, help your kid pick out books when you go to the library. You wouldn't believe how many parents would sit there on their phone scrolling away and tell a 3-year-old, go find some books. If you tell a 3-year-old to go find a book, they might grab a book that's got a teddy bear on the front, and the parent checks out the book, takes it home. This book that happens to have a teddy bear on the front, which is a great book, has so many words inside that a 3-year-old is never gonna sit still for this book. It's way above a 3-year-old's comprehension. It's way above their attention span. Just because it's got a cute cover doesn't mean it's appropriate for that kid's age. So go with the kid and help the kid, or just let the kid play over in the educational toys at the library, and you go and thumb through the books and go, oh, this one would work for my kid. So help your kid pick out the books. Don't just go let them run really willy-nilly and just pick out any old thing. Because like the Velveteen Rabbit, classic book, wonderful book. You're probably not gonna read it to a 3-year-old. It's above them. It's not gonna work. If you love reading to kids, they are gonna love listening. I promise. Ask your librarians what their favorite read aloud books are. We love to tell you. Oh my goodness, that's the best question in the world. When a person comes up and says, can you recommend some good books for reading out loud to kids? Oh, yes! Yes, we will recommend until the cows come home. We'll just recommend forever, okay? So now I'm gonna show you some types of really, really terrific books. First of all, books with repetitive action over and over again, such as the 3 Little Pigs, remember? Same thing happens over and over again. The first little piggy, the second little piggy, the third little piggy, the wolf knocks on the door. Make the kid knock. Little pig, let me come in. Not by the hair of my chinny chin chin. And I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in. So, it repeats over and over and over. The little kid knows what to expect. There's a little bit of tension though, because that wolf is coming. You know this is going to happen. So, kids love repetition. Use the voices too. Use the voices. Who's gonna hear you? Nobody but the kid who loves it when you use the voices. Be the wolf, be the piggy, change your voice. It makes it so much more fun for the both of you. Here's one called Hugless Douglas. Poor Douglas, he's a bear. He's not very bright, but he just wants a hug. And all he wants is a hug. And he goes through the whole book looking for a hug, looking for a hug, looking for a hug. Repetition over and over and over again. You will find books that kids love because it's got enough repetition that they kind of know what to expect. Interactive books. There are books that are specifically interactive. They're written to be interactive. Like there's one called Press Here, which I don't happen to have, which makes me a little sad. It has a little red dot that the kid pushes on. The little red dot says, press the dot. And when you turn the page, oh, magically, the red dot has turned into 3 red dots. And then you turn the book, you shake the book, and all these things happen. More dots appear, and they go from one side of the page to the other side of the page. It's magic. To a preschooler, oh, absolutely nothing is happening. We know this, but some pretty imaginative artwork. But to kids, it's magic. That is an actual interactive book. But you can take books that are not necessarily interactive. Oh, I've got my books out of order. Here we go, hang on. I'm gonna find it. Oh, here we go. This book is one of my absolute faves, and it's one of the kids' absolute faves. I still do story times, even though I'm retired. I do story times every week. This is one of the first books that I do for the whole year. It's called Groovy Joe, Ice Cream, and Dinosaurs. Now, this is not necessarily an interactive book, but when I read this to kids, I say, you can help me read this book. Can you roar? Can I hear you roar? And then they, and then I say, terrific. Now, every time I do this, it's time for you to roar. So you have to read through the book first and be a little bit prepared, but oh my goodness, do they love doing the roar. And the roar gets louder as it goes. So let me show you, for example, Groovy Joe saw something yummy. It's an ice cream truck. Groovy Joe started rubbing his tummy. Make them rub their tummies. And then Groovy Joe was living the dream. He had a spoon and a tub of ice cream. And he started to sing. Kids also like music in books, which we'll get to in a minute. Make it up. You don't have to know the tune, just make it up. I love my doggy ice cream. I love my doggy ice cream. I love my doggy ice cream. Did I hear you roar? Roar. Yeah, there you go. Roar. Roar. Oh no! A little dinosaur stomped into the room. He glared at the ice cream and he took out a spoon. There he is with his spoon. So the kids do the roaring. It's repetitive. Oh my goodness. It becomes an interactive book. Even older kids like interactive books. This one is a level 2, but you don't have to stop reading to a kid. I didn't stop reading to my kids till they were in 6th grade, I think. And we were still reading bedtime stories at night. It was chapter books. Keep reading to the kids. They love it. You love it. You can. So anyway, this one has got, I don't know if any of you remember Sherry Lewis and Lamb Chop. Maybe it's just because I'm old that I love Sherry Lewis. But she would make kids do sound effects for the books that she read. And that's what we do with this one. So there's a bunch of little dragons. There's a good knight. And he says, away, to his horse. So you tell the kids, okay, there's 3 things you have to remember for this book. You have to be able to roar, like the dragons roar. And then you have to be able to say, away, when he gets on his horse. And then you can teach them how to do a clippity-clop. So it sounds like a horse galloping because the knight goes through the forest over and over. So clap, tap, tap, clap, tap, tap. go faster and faster until it hurts, Sherry Lewis said. And it sounds just like a horse. So kids get to do all 3 of those for this book. And oh boy, do they have fun with that, even preschoolers. So let's see, what's next? Interactive book. Oh, musical books. I always try to throw in at least one of those into the mix. Now, whether it's a nursery rhyme book that you remember your grandma reading to you, or anything that gives you the chance to say, oh, I get to sing this one to you. And kids will go, you're singing a book? Yes, we're singing this book. So this one, for instance, is Snuggle Puppy. And let me just read you a couple pages of Snuggle Puppy. Now again, I have no idea what the actual tune of this is. I don't even sing very well, but you just make it up on the fly as you go. Whatever. Snuggle Puppy. Well, I have a thing to tell you, and it won't take long. The way I feel about you is a kind of a song. It starts with an ooh, and it ends with a kiss. And all along the middle, it goes something like this. It goes, ooh, snuggle puppy of mine. Everything about you is especially fine. I love what you are. I love what you do. Fuzzy little snuggle puppy, I love you. I say, ooh, and then it starts over again. So make it up, make it fun. Let's see. Pete the cat. I love my white shoes. Now, this isn't necessarily a song, but kinda. So, it does say, Pete loved his white shoes so much he sang this song. Again, I don't know the tune. There probably is one. I can't read music, so clueless. I love my white shoes. I love my white shoes. I love my white shoes. Oh no! Pete stepped in a big pile of strawberries. What color did that turn his shoes? Red. And then it starts over again. Did he cry? Goodness, no. He just kept walking along singing his song. Everything is cool. I love my red shoes. I love my red shoes. I love my red shoes. So get some music in there. When you get some books, get some that you can sing. It makes it so much better. Next, unexpected silliness. Kids love silly. The sillier, the better. The grandkid I was talking about with the blanket, he has this thing. As we're reading, if it's super silly and I look over at him, I will just pause and look over at him, and he's looking at me like this is so cool, it's so silly. This is a preschool favorite called Bark George. I'm gonna read just a couple pages of this one. Bark George. George's mother said, "Bark, George." And George went, meow. Then I would look at the grandson, and the grandson's going, no. Kids love this. It's one of my favorite story times. No, George, said George's mother. Cats go meow, dogs go arf. Now bark, George. And George went, quack, quack. Something is wrong with George. Well, turns out George had all those animals deep, 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 deep down inside of him that had to be pulled out of his stomach one by a veterinarian. It's weird, but, and silly. So the vet is putting on his, bark, George. And George went, moo. So the vet put on his longest latex glove, and he reached deep, 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 deep down the inside of George and pulled out a cow. And George's mother, of course, passes out. Can't believe it. That was the last animal inside of George. Bark again, George, says the vet. And George went, arf! He's cured at the end, hooray. George's mother was so thrilled, she kissed the vet and the cat and the duck and the pig and the cow, which were all down inside of George. On the way home, she wanted to show George off to everyone on the street. So she said, "Bark, George." And George went, "Hello." He ate the vet. What's going to happen now? He ate the vet. There's nobody to get it out of him. Oh! Great book. The kids go nuts. They love it. They also love this one. It's called Bad Dog. The minute I hold up this book, they go, "That's not a dog, that's a cat." Well, yeah, it is a cat. But the clueless little kid inside of this book seems not to know that. And it's a cute kid. Bad Dog. "Look what I got for my birthday! A pet dog!" And kids will go, "That's not a dog, it's a cat." "My dog has black and white fur and pointy ears and a cute little nose. Her name is Rocky, and she is a bad dog. Rocky doesn't listen like good dogs. Hey, Rocky, come. Come on. You can do it, Rocky. Come here, girl." But of course, cats don't come. Cats don't listen. Bad dog. So anyway, silliness. Kids love silliness. Stop that pickle. Silly from beginning to end. This little pickle jumps down off the counter and runs out the door. And everybody's chasing the pickle. Hilarious. They also get to add in and say over and over again throughout the book, "Stop that pickle!" They even get to say it with tiny little almond voices, because the almonds who are chasing the pickle are saying, "Stop that pickle." So tiny little almond voices. Fantastic book. Let's see, what else? Books with rhythm and rhyme. Things like Pigs Aplenty, Pigs Galore. Lots of rhyme, lots of rhythm. Kids like things that rhyme, and it helps with the wiring in their brains, I promise. If you're rhyming things. "Late one night as I sat reading, I thought I heard the sound of feeding. Munch, 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 crunch, 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 slurp, 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 burp, burp, burp. Ah. Through the kitchen door I crept, barely watching where I stepped. A crash, a bang, a shout, a yell. I slipped on something, then I fell. I landed on a pile of pigs, some eating dates, some eating figs." Here's a little board book with rhyming. Moo, ba, la, la, la. A cow says moo. A sheep says ba. 3 singing pigs say la, la, la. No, no, you say, that isn't right. The pigs say oink all day and night. So, rhyme. From the time they're little, they love rhyme. Also, books are a way to help you approach sticky topics. I cannot even tell you the number of people who came into the library. They would walk up to the desk and they would say, "Oh, this child's grandma just died. Do you have a book?" Or, "We've been having problems with him biting other kids. Do you have a book?" In almost every single case, yes, there's a book. And if we don't have the book, the great thing about libraries is they can look outside their own building to the entire library system all over the country and find a book about the exact topic that you need to address. One of our grandsons had problems with anger. This is a book called When I Feel Angry, and it gives them concrete skills to help when they feel angry, what to do with that anger, how to deal with it well. This is a book for kids who have trouble sharing. It's called The Minosaur. Mine. He wanted everything for himself, to the point that he drove other people away because they didn't want to play with him anymore because of the selfishness. So it all ends happily ever afterly, and it's fine, but it addresses that topic. Here is a fantastic book called The Llamaroo. It's about a kangaroo who didn't have a baby and wanted a baby, and a little baby lamb who didn't have a mama, so she came to live in the kangaroo's pocket and realized she didn't look exactly like the kangaroo, but at the end, she realized she didn't have to. That was her mama anyway, and they loved each other, and that's all that mattered. So, excellent book. Fun, fun, fun. The Llamaroo. All right. Here are some tips to make reading more fun for the both of you. Never be in a hurry to read a book. I know, bedtime, it's already past bedtime, the clock is ticking. Don't rush through a book. Don't blow through it. Let your kids enjoy the pictures. It's one of the best parts of a children's book is the art. Appreciate the art. Let them mull over. Ask them questions about the pages. Let them ask you questions. Say things like, what do you think is going to happen next? Or, do you see the wiggly woos hiding in the trees? Ask them questions. Make it interactive between the two of you. Don't just read words. Make the book come to life. I used to tell the Reader's Theater kids that. Let me give you an example of what I mean. So you can read this book, this Bears in the Night, in bed, out of bed, to the window, at the window, out the window, out the window, down the tree. You're reading the words. You understood. I spoke in English. You understood it. Now, if you're really having fun reading the book, it would sound like this. In bed. Ooh. Out of bed. Out of bed. To the window. At the window. Out the window. Out the window. Down the tree. They're sneaking out of their bed at night. So read it like you're sneaky. This is one I used to do with the Reader's Theater kids. Let's see if I can find the page. There's an evil, this is one of my favorite books of all time, Beware of the Storybook Wolves. It's about the wolves in the fairy tale story actually get out of the book. The kid has to be older to read this to them, because you read this to a preschooler, they might think this will actually happen. And obviously it can't. But there's a wicked fairy in this book. So if I am reading this book and I say, "Oh, you dozy dormits, don't you know anything," snarled the fairy. "You wolf half-wits give wickedness a bad name. He's tricked you, you twerps. Little boys are appetizers, Jell-O is dessert." Okay. But you can read it like a wicked fairy. And you can say, "Oh, you dozy dormits, don't you know anything?" snarled the fairy. "You wolf half-wits give wickedness a bad name. He's tricked you, you twerps. Little boys are appetizers, Jell-O is dessert." See the difference it makes? Have fun. Use the voices. Make it come to life. Let's see. When kids get older, there are still some great ways that you can read together. This one is called You Read to Me, I'll Read to You. And there are quite a few books like this. Very short stories to read together. So when you open this book, here's a book with something new. You read to me, I'll read to you. We'll read each page to one another. You read one side, I read the other. But who will read, now guess this riddle, when the words are in the middle? The answer's easy, plain as pie. We'll read together, you and I. So, you're gonna read the books on the right side, the kid's gonna read the books, or the words on the right side, the kid's gonna read the words on the left side, and then when the words are in the middle, you read together. And it's fantastic, and they're cute little fun short sentences, short stories. So that's a way to read together. Chapter books, when a kid gets a little bit longer attention span, don't need as many words. You start with chapter books that have a lot of pictures, work your way into chapter books that don't. Still a perfect way to end the day at bedtime. You can read one chapter a night. Nonfiction books, true books about things that kids are interested in, whether it's dinosaurs or it's trucks or it's the human body or different hobbies or sports or whatever. Go to the nonfiction section and find things that those older kids are interested in. Other places to get books, not at the library, are thrift stores. That's where most of my books have come from. And I got a lot of books at home for kids. Thrift stores are fantastic. Sometimes they have free Kids Book Week at thrift stores. Books are generally not over 25 or 50 cents at a thrift store. And some of them look as good as brand new. There are also those little free libraries along the sidewalks in different neighborhoods. Those are fantastic. I never walk past a little free library without opening the door to see what's inside. Sometimes it's garbage, but sometimes you'll find absolute treasure in there. Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. That gives kids free books. They come in the mail. Kids love to get mail from birth to age 5. My grandson signed up for that. You have to go in, you type in your zip code to see whether or not it's available where you live, and totally free of charge. What about kids who have a reading disability, who have challenges with dyslexia, things like that? Audiobooks are wonderful, especially if you can get an audiobook that also get the book at the same time so that you can help that child read along with what's being read to them. So you can listen to the audiobook and follow along in the actual book. It helps a lot. Another idea is to pick a fantastic chapter book, like Holes, for example, or Anne of Green Gables, that's been something that's been made into a movie. And then promise the kid when you're done reading the book, then you'll have a movie night and watch the movie version. And then you can talk about whether they did a good job making the book the same as it was, or if it's different. And a lot of them do a pretty good job when they turn those books into movies. Have some popcorn, have fun. So anyway, I hope that gives you kind of an overview about how to get books, how to enjoy books with your kids, how to make reading a part of their life, how to make lifelong reading just an absolute joy for them, and it'll change their life. It'll change yours. Thank you for being with me. Bye-bye.